homeschooling with footprints in the sort of tween and teen years. So that's sort of 12 to 16 years of age. A lot of parents start to think, oh no, we need to Cambridge, or we need to go to CAPS, or put my child back into school. It's not necessary. With Footprints, we continue to guide and direct and help you launch your child into whatever school leaving certificate they choose, which we'll cover toward the end of the chat. But if we're now sitting with a mom, her children are sort of in that age, about to launch into their high school, what would be your first option to offer a family from Footprints for children between 12 and 16 years of age?
Well, I think the first thing is to say to the mother, take a deep breath and don't panic about these years. You're not going to mess up your children's education by going through the high school years as a home educator. So, you know, some parents are just taking their kids out of school system at this age. Others have been homeschooling all the way. And no matter what your scenario is, it's going to work for you. And one of the great things about our Footprints programs is that you read stories aloud together. And although we want our tweens and teens to gradually become more and more independent, what I don't want is a teen sitting in their room doing online school and the mother's doing something else and they're completely disconnected. Our programs bring you together, where you share stories by reading them aloud together, discuss them, debate them, hate them, love them, whatever. And then the work that needs to be done, the assignments and things like maths, the teen can do independently, but there's been some bonding, something that's connected to you, a shared experience. And that is very important, and it's one of the great benefits of home education at this age. So our programs are literature-based, as we've said, and the idea, it's a Charlotte Mason idea. She was an 18th century educator, but her ideas are still very popular today, because the idea is that we connect our teens with the thoughts and the work and the art of the great minds and the great artists of an era. And so it's not just boring textbooks where information has been thinned out and dumbed down and just, you know, worked to the bare bones and bullet points. You're actually getting a rich living education written by people who are passionate about whether it's history or nature or whatever. And that's what makes it so great, even for the parents. We don't get bored because it's this rich living information that we're learning alongside our children.
And that's why, you know, we've got the three main programs for this age group. Footprints Nature Quest, we have mentioned, and we'll link to it below in our younger product video. But we can proudly say it's for 4 to 70 years of age. Parents,
absolutely.
Parents enjoy it as much as your teens, and there is a little add-on book pack if you've got little guys in your home. But it just opens up our children's worlds. You know, we've noticed that our teens tend to become a little bit more introspective and pull away a little bit more to figure things out. And with Nature Quest, you just go on this amazing journey around our country using literature, and it is perfectly appropriate for that age. The assignments are a variety of them that children can choose from, and some are more challenging, some are easier. So it's really a great program for this age. And then the other program is Footprints the Last Century, which is a sequel to our Footprints the Early Years. And again, we'll link to that below. And again, taking on the spine book is a living sort of spine story of what has happened in South African history over the last 120 years, starting around the 19th century, moving through to the 2020s. Great storybooks, time to really discuss things with children, hard stuff, but also wonderful stuff. And the way it's delivered in this narrative form just makes some of the heavier things seem a little lighter, because you're walking this journey with Granny Stella and her grandchildren.
I think an important thing to note is that in the way history is presented in all our Footprints programs, we're not teaching children what to think. We're teaching them how to think. And you as a family can give your own views and your own perspectives. And we encourage you to also look at the perspectives of others and get multiple perspectives. And then the child can decide for themselves what they think happens. So we're not trying to brainwash people to think like we think or believe what the textbook says they must believe. It's teaching children critical thinking, which is vitally important. And then, of course, it includes things like poetry, music of the last 120 years in South Africa, including some of our favorites from our childhood, which parents hopefully will also enjoy.
Remember, yeah.
And then there's also South African art. So everything you need is included. It's at your fingertips. And we hope that that will make, giving your children this rich education so much easier for you.
And then onto that, you would add your maths program, a second language if your children are doing it. If you've got children that are really science orientated, amazing science programs out there that you can use. A lot of them are on our website that we recommend. And then don't forget your community around your team. If you have a grandfather who is a woodworker, make sure that they connect so that they can learn those skills that are tending to die out. If you've got a child who's really into baking and you know somebody, get them involved in learning how to make sourdoughs and decorating cupcakes, and keep the world open to your teens. Don't pack in the academics so tight that they don't have an opportunity to actually live and experience life within the community. One of the things that is important that parents often ask us about our Footprints programs is, how does this integrate into, you can fill in the gap, GED or Cambridge? Is it compatible with American High School Diploma? And we can say yes to all of those. So why don't you take a quick moment and explain GED integration from Footprints, and I'll do Cambridge.
I think with all of these options, home education prepares our children really well, especially if you're giving them this eclectic literature-based style of learning, because they're developing good reading, writing, and critical thinking skills, and then you've added in your maths. And for the GED, those are basically there's 4 exams: maths, science, social studies, and reasoning through language arts, which is really your English. And so you've developed all those skills through the primary grades. And by giving your children this rich literary education, teaching them to think critically, and you've really prepared them well for that. I've lost my train of thought. You've prepared them well for those skills. And it's skills rather than content that's been memorized parrot fashion, that the GED tests. So whatever programs you use, if they are rich in literature and develop those skills, your kids are going to do well. And we've had my own children, some of your children, many other homeschoolers take the GED exams, and they've, it's been no problem.
Yeah.
You can tell us more about how that kind of education prepares children for Cambridge.
Yeah, so I often say to parents, it's not so much the content that you've covered before you get to your grade 11 with Cambridge. It's more about the character that you've instilled in your children. And if your kids have decided that they want to go to university, if they want to be a doctor or a vet or an engineer or do computer science, they actually are willing to step up to the bat and take on the responsibility and the challenge of Cambridge. The reason why we like introducing it so late is that your children have not been bored with textbooks their whole homeschooling career. They have got an incredible amount of general knowledge, how to read, how to think critically, how to research, all of those things that we've taught through Footprints. And now they can go into the last 2 years, 2.5 years of school leaving, yes, using those textbooks, but it's not something that it's new to them. In fact, my daughter, when she did it, she got so excited that she had textbooks for her first time in her life. She was like, whoa, this is so new, this is so cool, because it hadn't been something that was just, shoved down her throat her whole life. So Cambridge, like I said, you can take 18 months to do grade 11, 18 months to do grade 12. Or you can do them each in a year. It really just depends on your child. And you can start it younger than 16. You can start a little older. Remember, in homeschooling, and particularly in these years, what we've done all the way is to tailor make an education for our children. So there's no need to, at the end of it, all of a sudden force your child into a mold. If they finish their schooling when they're 20, who cares? That was when they are ready. If they finish it when they're 17, well done. That was when that child was ready. Let's not try and force our children into a mold. The other question we get asked is Footprints compatible with American high school diploma? Yes, it is. It does earn children credits in the various categories, but we are not completely up to date with the requirements, but we can put parents in contact with those that are. So please send us an email on our website and we can connect you with the right people. So after we've looked at Footprints, the last century, Footprints, Voetspore 2, the Footprints Nature Quest, besides formats, anything else that you would add into your team's life as they start to move into the last years of homeschooling?
I think it's just continuing what you've been doing all the years of their life, which is parenting them to become young, independent people. And so you've got to keep on letting them develop their life skills. And I always say, never do something for a child that they can do for themselves.
Right.
So whether it's cooking a meal once a week, taking on a responsibility, let them do it. If it's phoning to make their own dentist appointments, let them make the phone call. Whatever it is that they need to learn to do, let them, book their own learner's license exam. Don't do it for them. Train them to take responsibility and to develop all these kind of skills that as adults you need in order to do what you've got to do to function in the world.
Yeah, 100%. We often say we're not raising children, we're raising adults. So that's a good way to end the chat.